Numbing Reality, Episode 1. This one is called The Voice of Recognition. Let's go to work. Imagine your child and or your children being lost in an amusement park. And as often as we as adults or as often as we as parents, we temporarily lose focus of them for a split second. And we all do. We're all guilty of it. And when you look down, your child and or your children are nowhere to be found. Panic sets in, time begins to stand still. But in this instance, and stay with me, in this specific instance, you begin to panic. But you only have one opportunity to pause and silence everything around you. And you only have one cry to make by calling your child and or your children's name one time. Will they recognize your voice? But more importantly, can you recognize theirs? As parents, for the most part, emphatically, for the most of us, the answer to that is yes. We will be able to recognize them. We will be able to recognize their voice. And more importantly, they will be able to recognize ours. However, the numbing reality of it all is that the child, them, him, her, or itself, is the one that often gets disciplined for drifting away. They're held responsible for it, while the responsible adult fades back to or back into what distracted them the first time. That's a numbing reality. The voice of recognition as adults is only echoed from adult to children. But let that sink in. If the children no longer recognize our voices, we should ask, whose voice have we lost contact with as adults? This is the numbing reality. We can't hear because we refuse to. And we become numb, looking at reality differently. In other words, we have forgotten that we too are somebody's child. And that adult or that person or that spirit is calling your name. But if you haven't recognized that spirit's voice, the spirit may not recognize yours when you call it either. That too is a numbing reality. Spiritual poetry. What I'm implying with this one is that we have become so distracted and so numb to hearing the one and only voice that we should hear to get us to a location and a destination. We can hear and recognize all the other voices that are distracting us from ever getting up off our butts and begin walking. The numbing reality is that someone is going to pick up the chair that we sit in and move it from one location to the next, instead of being the legs to move the chair. We've become too complacent, and we continue to complain about the children. But the youth and the children are only a mirror image of the voices that they're reflecting and they're recognizing right now. It's a painful reality, and that's why we become numb. We pretend we don't see it. We act like we can't hear it. And when it's right in front of our eyes, only the blind can lead the blind. That's a painful, numbing reality. My suggestion would be to, again, as I often illustrate in multiple messages, is to eliminate and or remove all distractions and get back to that one voice of recognition and stop being numb to this world, because the amusement park is nothing but the world, and everybody's beginning to have fun in it, and they're just as lost. That's a numbing reality. We only got one opportunity. Start today if you didn't start yesterday. Change your reality.